Just wanted to talk about T20. There's some stuff coming out of the IPL now with such high scores taking place, like 240, 220, 230 is a par score now. Joe's good. Good. Please say hi from me. With 220, 230 kind of being par, almost like under par. So what is a good bowling performance now on flat pitches, small grounds, big bats, quality players? What is a good bowling performance? What it used to be is kind of, I always had in my mind, can you defend 9 and over in the UK? That was. So, can you go at eights, 150, 160, around sort of par, certainly in the last few years on most grounds, not all grounds. But in the IPL, it's really got me thinking about what is a good performance. How do you go around working out what a bowler's best method is to defend 11s? Can a bowler go at 10s? That's the reality we are now living in. So the kind of things that that cross my mind. There's a few performances that have taken place. You can afford to go for one boundary and over if you're looking to defend or go at 10s. And going at 40 or 4 overs, that's you've won your spell, I think. So yes, it's still about taking wickets. Of course it is. That is gold dust. But a bowler that can go at 10s, that is also going to sway the match, especially if pars are 220, 230, 240, 250. So I reckon you can afford to go for one boundary and over. And I think that one ball that might go for a boundary, that is your wicket taking ball. I think that's the one that you choose. What is your best method to take a wicket? And if the ball is swinging, you still have a slip or maybe even 2 slips in place. But it might go for 4 and you've got to be okay with that. But I do think I still like breaking the over down. So almost like ball 1 and ball 2 outside of the power play. Ball 1 and 2, that's how you get into the over. And then balls 3 and 4, I reckon if balls 1 and 2 go pretty well, as in not go for a boundary, ball number 3 or ball number 4, you can explore. How can I take a wicket? How can I change the field so that the batter sees a difference in where the fielding positions are? You might not actually change the ball that you're bowling, but they think you're trying something different. Balls 3 and 4, you can explore. And then balls 5 and 6 is getting out the over again. It's handing that over to your bowling partner, whoever that might be for the next over. I also think that's how I would generally kind of break down an over in T20 cricket. So dots, wow. If you bowl dots this day and age, you are going to be very wealthy and in demand. But I reckon getting into the over, can you defend? Again, this is outside the power play. Can you defend balls 1 and 2? Can you explore ball 3 and 4? Go for the wicket, but also accept it might go for a boundary. Be attacking, and then balls 5 and 6, getting out of the over. And it's your responsibility to hand your over. All right, get rid of your ego. In some situations, of course, you've still got to go for wickets, but bowlers that can get out of your over and like go for 2s. Well, to be honest, on Indian grounds, it's either going to go for a 1 or a 4. They are really small. They look massive, by the way, with so many people in the stands and things. But actually, the majority are not actually that big at all. And because there's squares, there aren't that many pitches on the squares, so there aren't many occasions where you've got a short side and a long side, a part of the ground that you can get hit into and you've got a chance of cutting off the boundary. I don't think that's the case. So I reckon you're looking at something like that. you can afford for one boundary, and that one boundary is your wicket taking option. Outside of that, for the majority, you're looking at what part of the field can I defend? What third of the ground can I place the fielders, and what ball delivery do I know that I can bowl that pretty much guarantees that's where the ball is going to be hit? You're obviously looking at the batter's strengths and stuff as well. If you know what you're going to bowl, you would know if the batter gets hold of me generally on this length, on this line. If the batter gets away from me, this is where they generally hit that ball. It's a really interesting one this day and age. The other thing I just wanted to come on and say is in T20 cricket, you can still win the over, I think, if you go for 12 off the first 3 balls. Because if you go for 12 off, 4-4-4, obviously, balls 1, 2, and 3, if you can go for single, 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 I think that grabs that over, that momentum of that over back to the fielding side. And then it becomes your bowling partner, the one who's bowling the next over, their responsibility to defend the first 3 balls of the next over. And all of a sudden, you've got a string of 6 balls in there, not bowled by the same person, but a string of 6 balls in there that has grabbed momentum on the back of 4-4-4, boundary, boundary, boundary. It's a game of ebb and flow, and it's now become the bowler's ability to kind of reset every single ball, keep moving forwards. How do I win the next ball? I've won that ball, right? How do I win the next ball? What does that look like? It's not always a wicket. It can often be just going for a single. And the skill of a bowler now is what ball can I bowl that goes for a single? This ball is going to get hit in that part of the ground, and I'm going to have my absolute jet fielders over on that side of the ground to prevent the boundary. I think we're at that sort of level now. It's really interesting. So bowlers that can go at 10s, absolute gold dust. I think Jamie Overton did it the other night, didn't he? So wickets still have a massive value, but so do bowlers that can go at 10s. It's amazing, isn't it? I remember first playing T20 cricket when I was at Hampstead Cricket Club in Bath. 100 was a decent score. 100 was a winning score more often than not. Wow. Anyway, right. I haven't got my reading glasses on. Joe's good. Right. Definitely think they need to readdress the balance somehow. I'm not sure they're going to. How would they do that? Have you got any ideas? Maybe the role of a bowler is just different. To address the balance and pull it back towards bowlers at that level, maybe what success looks like for a bowler is just a bit different. It is singles. Maybe it's that. I had an interview at Somerset a few years ago. Loved working back there. And part of my interview prep was to put together a presentation on how to win a 50-over game against Kent. It was all hypothetical. However, I did tap into some of my connections who did a bit of background work for me. And I've always worked quite closely with, or very closely with, the good ones, performance analysts. And the question was open-ended. How do you win a 50-over game against Kent? Where are their strengths? Where can we exploit that? Or anything? And we came up with, okay, wickets, early wickets in 50-over cricket is still a thing, okay? But we ended up having a conversation around, okay, if you go all out for wickets, where's the tipping point with the number of runs you might go for? Because if you go all out for wickets in the first 10 overs of 50 over game, when often the ball swings, but for not very long. And you might have 3 slips deployed for the edge if you're a swing bowler. What's the tipping point? So if you go for 15 and over of the first 10 overs, does that mean you end up losing the game if you've got 6 wickets? It's a really interesting conversation. We ended up something like, you could go, if I recall, you could go for 120 runs and the game is still not lost as long as you've taken, I can't remember the number of wickets. It was something like 4 or maybe 5 wickets in the first 10 overs. The game is still not lost. It was really interesting. How do you put a team like Kent back then behind the game, wickets wise, even though they've got 120 runs on the board? We didn't go for it because it was a little bit of a step into the unknown. The other thing that came out from the analysis was Blake. Can't remember his first name. Good player, good Kent player. Blake was a finisher. They held it back to bat a certain number of overs at the end of their innings. But one of the key things was if you get Blake in by, let's say, the 35th over or the 30th over, he then has to play differently because he was a brilliant ball striker. But because he came in with 20 overs to go, he had to play a different style of innings. And often having to play that different style of innings meant that he gave away his wicket. Not on purpose, obviously, but he couldn't play his preferred way and the way that he'd had some success. And on the back of that, if you get Blake in by the 30th over, you've got a high percentage chance of winning the game. How do you get him in by the 30th over? Then you take early wickets. That's how it all kind of got put together. Really interesting. Mick, yeah, Alex Blake, that's him. Good player, absolute jet of a fielder as well. Fielding side can pick a different ball. Yeah. Power play for bowlers. Change it to red ball. I remember I think it was 40 over cricket years ago. The bowling side could choose at whatever point a power play. It didn't change the ball. Jen, how you doing? Just been talking about T20 cricket. I haven't got long left. I've got 5 minutes before my car is charged. So I just thought I'd hop on and just talk a little bit about T20 cricket. Anything else been going on for anybody here? Again, apologies for being a little bit quiet. Moving house, my mind and my priorities have been elsewhere. You are my priority, by the way, but slightly less of a priority when we're moving house and family are involved. I love you, but not as much as my family. Okay, anything else that I can help with? I've got 3 minutes left. I've had an amazing day so far, by the way. Because we're commuting from Leicester, still taking the boys to their school, Seb and Raf in Birmingham. So it was a bit of a commute. I did yesterday. Emily's doing today. So today I treated myself. I love history. And I went to Richard III Visitor Centre here in Leicester. I've always wanted to go. That whole thing a few years ago about finding his skeleton beneath a car park in the middle of Leicester. Amazing. I've just had a few hours taking a look at the visitor centre there. Yeah, anyway, I hope you're all well. And thank you for hopping on. I know that everybody is busy. Jen, apologies. You've just hopped on and I am just hopping off. Hope you're all well. And yeah, just some insights. You'll get those insights, I think, in your inbox. But I'll also be, um, I will also be posting some of these clips as well. If there's anything in particular you'd be interested in me have a look at, I'm doing. Uh, do you know what? I'm not missing the being involved in county cricket at all. I didn't think I would. I've had a hell of a run. I'm obviously still in cricket, like, and I'm looking at the scores and all this kind of stuff. I'm really, really enjoying working with younger players, and I'm putting together a program very much taking a long-term view of developing pace bowlers and cricketers in general. Having a conversation with a school in Gloucestershire about hosting or leading a residential cricket camp during the summer holidays. And I'm loving all of these conversations and looking to add value to um, as many young cricketers as I can, both in person and online. But yeah, the next chapter is giving me a lot of energy at the moment. And I hope you're all well. Got a dash. Thanks for hopping on. Catch you soon.